Hello everyone, my name is Austin and welcome back to the only series on my channel, the Reddit series, because I'm a Reddit YouTuber. Today we're gonna... Okay then. Huh. Okay. Interesting. But in all seriousness, guys, thank you guys for not unsubscribing from my channel. I don't even know. Alright, back to the original subject. Welcome to another episode of r/MaliciousCompliance. You guys really seem to enjoy the last episode of this, so I'm just making another one, even though it's only been maybe 3 or 4 episodes since then. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let me know down in the comments if this was a good idea or not. Refuse to be served by a woman bartender and ask for a manager? Allow me to introduce you to her. A bit of backstory, I worked at a pub on and off for about 3 years, not full time but rather on a 0 hours contract. Basically I picked up shifts whenever I was back from university, paid per shift. They had a decent turnover of back of house staff, so as someone who knew pretty much everything in there, I would generally be the person to fix issues whenever a new member of staff had a problem. So I'm on a barbecue shift, which means I'm running food outside. There's also a bar out there which was taken care of by a female coworker, or FC for our story, and every now and then a manager would check up and make sure everything was alright. We had 3 managers on at a time, and they generally helped out with wherever was needed. Nobody was afraid to get their hands dirty. It was a quiet night, so we were basically chilling out there, serving the occasional burger or drink. Well, I go in to help out on glasses since as always it was backed up, and when I came back out again, this guy was basically standing angrily by the bar. Female coworker was visibly upset, not crying or anything, but clearly not having a good time. And as I walk up, this guy sees my apron and puts his hands on his hips. "Finally, get me your manager. I want this girl gone," he says, or words to that extent. Now, I'm understandably doubtful she's done anything that bad, especially since she's relatively new, so before doing anything I bring female coworker around the back and ask her. Turns out she'd messed up this guy's pint and he had gone off about how women couldn't pour beer and that she shouldn't even be there. It was a man's job, etc. I told her I'd sort it out, leave him with me and you continue to watch the bar in the meanwhile. Now I wasn't going to let this go unpunished, so here is where the compliance comes in. Remember that there are 3 managers on at a time. 2 are on the floor currently, both men and both perfectly capable of sorting this out, but the 3rd was a female. We'll call her Kate. Now Kate was the most senior manager on, hence why she was in the office sorting out admin and emails, etc. And she took absolutely nothing from anyone whatsoever. For reference, when she finally left the pub, it was to go to work as a prison officer. She was a dang good manager for getting things done, but definitely not afraid to stamp her authority if need be. In short, not someone you want to be on the wrong end of. You can guess which manager I went to. She was at first annoyed that I was trying to drag her all the way outside, but when I explained fully, she just stopped typing, stood up and told me to lead the way, which I did, smiling all the way because I knew exactly what was coming next. I let her down, and as the guy sees us approaching, his face just falls off a cliff. I've never seen anyone go from angry to oh crap that quickly ever since. It was just glorious. Kate is of course very polite, but makes a point of introducing herself as head manager of the pub. Not strictly true, but it did get the job done. He stutters about having his pint messed up and she tells him he can have another one on the house. Then she proceeds to go behind the bar and pour it herself before handing it to him. I can feel how badly he wants to complain about it from across the bar, but eventually he takes his drink and walks off, without another word. Kate just gives me a look and a little smile before walking back into the office. Yes, it probably would have been more efficient to literally do anything else to resolve this whole thing. In fact, I probably could have just comped the drink myself and he would have pissed off, but oh, was the result worth it? Look, honestly, if you're gonna be really blind to the fact that you could possibly be asking for a woman because you didn't want a woman behind the bar, then you're eventually gonna walk into that trap, whether it's here or somewhere else where you might lose something even more. So consider yourself lucky, idiot. My neighbors wanted to call a professional to mark their property line. My parents agreed. This was a long time ago, but I remember it clearly. We moved into a community with a tight space in between our house and our neighbors, and we didn't like them being able to see our kitchen. We put up a bunch of plants costing thousands, but my parents thought it would be worth it. A week later, my parents awoke to the plants completely chopped down. My father was furious and marched down to our neighbor's house. He told my father that the plants were on his property line, therefore he had a total right to take them down. He warned that if anything were to go on his property again, he would report us to the authorities immediately. My father called the company that put in the plants, and with the warranty, we could have them replanted next week for no charge. We made sure that there was no way it was on our neighbor's property. However, a few days later, we caught him chopping them down at 2 a.m. We called the police upon obstruction of property, and after the chat with my neighbor, he decided to call a professional and mark his property line. My father agreed. A few days later, I come home to find orange tape in my neighbor's yard. Apparently, his fence was 11 feet over our property line. We watched as he took down his fence, completely furious. Within the next month, we were enjoying our new space and privacy in our backyard. My neighbor ended up losing 1/4 of his backyard. My neighbor ended up having to pay almost $10,000 for the destruction of our property, and we got to plant our plants again. 11 feet, how does that make how do you even get to that point where like, what? Okay, holy crap, it's like a day later after recording that story and my computer has crashed like 5 times, so well, yeah, I don't know, this video, you guys wonder why the videos take so long to come out? This is why. Check your contracts, government salary employees. So, I work IT in a public school. I'm a 12-month employee who works 40 hours a week, 5 days. I'm constantly staying late, sometimes an hour or more, or coming in early. I don't get any overtime, but sometimes the job calls to be late, no big deal in my eyes. I get half an hour lunch, salary's at $55,000. Most days I bring my lunch in, but sometimes I don't have leftovers for anything to bring in. There's a convenience shop that sells sandwiches and chips, which I usually go to whenever I don't bring in lunch. Since the sandwiches are made by order, they don't have an option to call in, so you have to wait for it. It takes around 12 or 13 to get there and back, so before my break, lunch is at 12 noon every day, I'll run to the shop, get a sandwich and a Coke before my lunch break, and then come back in time for lunch. Now this isn't every day, it's pretty rare, maybe twice a month. My boss knows I stay late and never ask for overtime or anything like that. He told me that staying late was part of my job when necessary. I usually don't have an issue with him, but today I did. I ran out at 11:45, got a sandwich, came back and took lunch from 12 to 12:30. When I was just getting off my lunch break, he called me into his office. Asked what time I went on lunch, told him what time. Then he asked me if I ran out before my break. I told him I did. He told me that he was writing me up for stealing time for running out before my break. This is strange considering that this has never been a problem and I've never gotten a write up. So I tell him that's fine and he has to do what he has to do. Then I decide to look at my contract. Guess what? I get 2 15-minute breaks in addition to my half-hour lunch. So now I'll be taking a 15-minute break whenever I feel like it, thanks to my union. Teacher refuses to grade presentations, makes students grade instead. Ooh, I think we have a record for like the shortest story ever. This just happened, so my computer technology teacher said that she would no longer be grading presentations. Instead, the students will be in charge of grading each other, and the average scores will be taken. Long story short, everybody got perfect scores and the teacher couldn't do anything about it. What an idiot. How do you not even see that coming with students? What the? Doing too many hours? So, a bit ago I used to work in healthcare. We were allowed to work up to 55 hours a week, and so I'd usually pick up around 3/4 extra shifts a month just to pay for treats and extras. I always made sure I never did too many hours and that I always felt well in myself, until a new senior nurse started from elsewhere in the hospital. She was quite brittle with all the staff, bringing in arbitrary new rules and just generally being rude until she wanted something. Then her tone changed and she was a sweetness and light. She started telling staff that picked up more than 1 extra shift a month that they were doing too many hours and that we had to pick up fewer hours as it didn't reflect well on the department to have permanent staff working so much. She said this in the most condescending tone possible. I tried explaining the policy of the hospital, but she didn't even listen, just said, "Well, I'm just a senior nurse on this ward and this is how it is now." And to be honest, it wasn't worth my while just working 1 extra shift. So I stopped. I also stopped staying behind to help, as long as I wasn't impacting on patient safety or others apart from her. Got loads of notes to write? Too bad. I'm finished now. See you later. Got some samples for pharmacy? Think you'll be running those yourself. It all came to a head one day when, as I was getting ready to leave, she asked me to work the shift the next day. She said that she'd asked a staffing agency, but they couldn't send anyone, and no one else wanted to pick up shifts. Then came the sweetness. Please, Mockingbird Bay, please, otherwise I'll have to do it, and I'm meant to be going XYZ tomorrow. I stopped. I smiled. I just said, well, I can't do too many hours, and you're the senior nurse. And left. Funnily enough, she's never questioned me picking up shifts again. What? How is this even a rule? Like, what do you mean it doesn't reflect well? It reflects hardworking staff, as far as I can tell, right? What? Alright, that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I sincerely apologize for not posting for these past couple of days. I just really didn't have time. Finals are coming up, and things are starting to get a little bit hectic, so I'm just working on the video whenever I can. If you're gonna tell with the little silly inserts I did in between the stories, these are recorded over days, and my computer also stopped working for a while, so that was fun. But everything's back in order now, and things are calming down just a bit, so hopefully I can release a longer video within the weekend or maybe early next week. And so look out for that. I think it's gonna be ProRevenge, but I haven't really decided yet. And once again, if you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more episodes like this in the future. I'll see you guys in the next episode.